Mackenzie Weegar's got one tonight. Back for Yandel. Barkov, one-timer again, score! Let's go home, baby! Sasha Barkov wins it in overtime, 5-4.
Welcome to Project Panthers, a weekly podcast discussing your Florida Panthers. Now, here's your host, Brunswick.
What a week, what a week, what a week. I am your host, Brunswick. The show is Project Panthers, and what a week it's been in Panther territory. If you're hearing the sound of my voice, that means you found us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other major podcast platform out there on the World Wide Web by searching Project Panthers. You can find us on Twitter at Project Panthers, that's P-R-O-J Panthers, on Instagram by searching Project Panthers Pod, and on Facebook by searching Project Panthers. The record of the Florida Panthers currently sits at 35-14-5. Still good for second place in the NHL Central Division, but the Lightning, ye old Lightning, are hot on their heels with some games in hand. A lot will come down to the last couple of games of the season, but once again, we shan't be getting ahead of ourselves. Let's see how this past chunk of days went for the Cats. First game of the week for the Panthers up against the Predators in the first of a back-to-back in Nashville. Chris Driedger got the start again in this one after his win against Carolina on Saturday. UC Saros starts for the Preds, and he's really played well for Nashville down the stretch. A 17-9-1 record with a .926 save percentage and a .227 GAA. At age 26, I'd say it looks like Nashville's found the guy to finally take the torch from Pekka Rinne officially. So, nice for the Predators, I guess. Noel Acciari comes back from injury in this one, and Lucas Wallmark gets back in the lineup as Patrick Hornqvist and Eetu Luostarinen take a seat out of Saturday's lineup. Winning you're in for the Panthers in this game, 2 points, and they clinch a playoff spot. Did you hear what I just said? The Panthers might be clinching a playoff spot. That's right. Nashville started out this one very physical, as expected. They've been this way for most of the season, and they're going to do their best to try and match Florida's speed in this matchup. This team is much better than they were earlier in the season. We saw some real stinkers out of Nashville earlier in the year, and they are not that team anymore. Cats get the extra man out there after a delayed call by the Preds. Barkov makes a nice pass to Duclair. He throws it on net, and if you didn't already know, guess who's there? Sir Samuel of House Bennett has taken the bounce off his stick and gets it past Sorrow for the early 1-0 lead. That went a little pirate there at the end, didn't it? Little matey, little pirate. 4 goals and 7 points in 5 games, in the last 5 games for Bennett since he came over. Who the hell needs 2 second-round picks when you have this kind of performance? I know. Small sample size. I'm doing my best to stay as chill and relaxed about Benny. You're looking at Cucumber Boy, as in cool as A. But he's crushing it so far, and I don't want to get my hopes up. He's had glimpses of glory in Calgary as well. With that said, I hope he continues to perform like the 4th overall pick that he was. Not long after the Preds get a power play and Preds captain Roman Josi risks a shot on net, Driedger fails to grab it in his glove, and Michael Granlund is Johnny on the spot there to get the rebound past Driedger to tie the game up. It's a tough goal here. Yeah, you wish Driedger holds onto the puck, but it's a pretty bang play that can happen, especially shorthanded. Cats PK is struggling though, and that's now 9 power play goals against in their last 11 games at this point. They got to tighten that up. Last 6 games of the playoffs, this is the time when you can figure these kinds of things out, especially if you've locked in a playoff spot, which they're hoping to do in this one. Preds do exactly what I expected them to do in this one. They played physical, and they used their speed down the wings to get around the Panthers' defense, a weakness that they've struggled with all year. More on that later. Their wingers are also drawing the Panthers' defense wide and allowing the centermen to move up with a ton of wide open ice in the middle of space. Like, just between the hash marks, feels like you could fit 7 Snorlaxes in between there. The Cats centers, they got to get back in these situations. They're the pivot, and they have to be covering the centerman. That's their man. The Nashville forecheck is also pretty relentless, and as a result, the Preds have a 13-6 shot advantage when the first period ends. Game still stays tied, though. So, speaking of shots, the Panthers came out flying in the second period with 6 shots in the opening 3 minutes. They really started to use their speed and move their feet around Nashville. They are a faster team than Nashville. If they try to be, they will be. But that doesn't mean much as Forsling tries to relieve some pressure by wrapping the puck around the boards. Preds intercepted on the opposite side. Puck gets to behind the net, and former Panthers legend Eric Holla finds Nick Cousins, who gets away from Uyghur and gets it over a sprawling pad of Chris Drieger for the 2-1 Predators lead. It's a messy play here. You'd like to see Weegs get stronger and be a little stronger on Cousins on this play, but it was a little too easy for Mr. Nick, so Uyghur's got to battle it out a bit more in front of the net. Cats get a power play not long after that. They failed to generate much, though. A couple of chances in front of the net, but nothing really dangerous. Again, these issues with their special teams, it's starting to catch up to them right now. Saros is doing his best impression of a brick wall as the Panthers lay the pressure on more and more. They outshot Nashville 16-2 in the second period after the first 10 minutes. The second line driving most of the offense. Bennett is all over the ice in this one. Just all over the ice. You cannot watch the game without seeing him. He's so noticeable. With 4:55 left in the second period, though, Chris Drieger comes out of the game and is replaced by Sergei Bobrovsky. Seemed like an injury. Hopefully whatever's ailing Driegs isn't long-term. I mean, the Cats really need both he and Bob going to be successful in the playoffs. No doubt about it. They need both of those guys to be on top of their game. Preds come on a bit at the end of the second, but they still manage to just have the 1-goal lead going to the third. Little note here, though. Early on in the second, a weird play where Bennett makes contact with Preds defenseman Ben Harper, and he hits the boards awkwardly with the door open on the Panthers bench. He was down for a bit and left the game. It's really unfortunate play and looked painful as hell. It's just one of those weird, awkward collisions that you see on the ice sometimes. And Harper's a big boy, and he looked to be in some pain. So hopefully he recovered from that pretty quickly. Preds get the puck in the zone. In the third period, Yandel blows a tire, which gives Duchesne plenty of space to get near the net. He throws it in front, and it finds legendary Panther killer Eric Holla for the 3-1 lead. A literal breakdown here. I mean, it's not like Yandel meant to fall down, but seriously, this kind of stuff cannot keep happening. He hasn't earned the right to make a mistake like that, so it was really disappointing. Charlie left Holla completely untouched in front of the net. The shot was easy. Again, our center's not covering their center and getting back. This is not a great play all around by all of our vets. Not an example to set for our young guys. Not long after this, Yandel gets back, and he backhands it. Montour misplays it, then loses sight of it. Tenen gets to the net, and deflects a shot for the 4-1 lead. This is another misplay that the Preds capitalize on. They're really not generating a ton of pressure. Not a lot of extensive play in the Panthers zone, but they're really taking advantage of anything that does come to them. It's a tough game for the Panthers. The rest of it ended without much fanfare. There's a 4-1 final for the Predators. Main takeaways from this one: team generated chances offensively. There's no doubt about that. I mean, just look at their shot total. They just did not get enough guys in front of the net, and they didn't generate that kind of offense. Saros had a view as clear as day for a lot of the pucks that came at him in this one. Yeah, he made some big saves, but he wasn't disrupted nearly enough. You need to make a goalie's life really difficult out there, especially in chippy games like this. Didn't see what we would need to from the Cats. The elephant in the room, that's getting harder and harder to ignore it. Yeah, I mean, he's obviously struggling defensively. Yeah, okay, it was a fluke, and he fell over on the third goal. It's not exactly his fault, but almost every game there seems to be something surrounding Keith Yandel and his play that leads to an opposition goal. He's here to contribute offensively and currently sits at 0 goals and 2 stats in his last 13 games after this one. I mean, I struggle to find what he contributes at this point besides padding his consecutive games record and being a locker room guy. We all know Q isn't going to bench him, but the writing is on the wall. I'm not really sure where the situation goes from here. It's puzzling, to say the least. But no time to dwell on that tough loss from Monday, because the next day, Tuesday, the Panthers were right back in action against those same Nashville Predators. Bobrovsky got the start in this one as Drieger was still out with whatever took him out of last night's game in the second period. A little bit of youth getting injected into the lineup as Grigory Denisenko and Alexei Heponiemi get back in the lineup for the first time in a while for both of these guys, actually. Recently called up from the AHL Syracuse Crunch. Matt Kiersted also dressed in this one. Coach Q choosing to go with the more skilled approach in this one and trying to outmuscle Nashville after a very physical game the night before. So hopefully his strategy works. The first good chance of the night goes to Granlund and Yarncroke on the Preds side, but Bob makes the big save. Preds control, though. Puck goes to Ryan Ellis, and he tees up a Brian Holzinger of a shot that goes right past Bob for the early 1-0 Predators lead. Not a great start here, but the Preds had Kunin in front of the net and screening Bob with nobody giving him any trouble. Kiersted, Lamico, Montour, they were all within a few feet of him, but none of them covering him or obstructing him in any way. A lot of stuff we saw on Monday. Panthers get a power play a few minutes later, and Yandel just kind of hands it to Barkov, and he steps up and rips a wrist shot top shelf past Saros with Huberdeau screening in front. Keeping it simple on the power play once again works. What a novel thought. Who would have thought? It's not like any genius, amazing, handsome podcast hosts are suggesting that, right? Nah. Barkey continues his goal-scoring hot streak, those 6 goals in his last 5 games after this one. What a stud. A couple quality chances for the Cats in the first from Tippett and Huberdeau, but Saros denied both of them. Continuing his play from the night before, he made 20 saves in the first period. 20! Damn. Period ends 1-1, though. A couple minutes into the second period, the Cats get another power play. Bennett finds Huberdeau at the top of the circle, who fakes a shot beautifully. He finds Duclair. He's got the tough angle on the shot, but a gaping wide open net. He finishes off a nice passing play for the 2-1 lead. Cats continue their dominance offensively, outshooting the Preds 30-8 at the 7-minute mark of the second period. But shots don't matter, right? You don't win the Stanley Cup for most shots. Nashville comes down the ice. Jarnkrok gets a shot on net from the point. It hits Luke Kunin. He gathers it in front to beat Bob to tie it up 2-2. Just the 9th shot for the Predators on this game. Despite the shot disadvantage, Nashville's doing a really good job of generating offense on the transition and using that speed on the wings that we've talked about so many times to get around the Panthers' defense. They also are using their offensive defensemen a little bit more. Nashville's got a really talented defensive core, even with the injuries this year. They're using it. It's working. Wouldn't you know it, a few minutes later, Preds scored again. They took the 3-2 lead. Roman Josi stops at the blue line. Gets a shot on net. Bob fails to corral the puck with his glove. Similar to Drieger on Monday. Big old juicy rebound comes in front, and this time it's Tanner Janet there to clean up the garbage for the goal. Predators captain Roman Josi actually became the highest scoring defenseman in Predators history on this goal. He passed Shea Weber for the all-time record with the assist. But I digress. This is more poor man coverage from the Panthers in front of the net, and Bob's going to handle that shot if it's going to come out that far. If he's going to come out that far and poke at it with his glove. I mean, he was a good 4 or 5 feet out of his crease. If that puck is not caught, you are not in any position to make a save, Bob, at all. You're a professional. You know this, man. It's not going to happen if you put yourself in that kind of situation. But the Cats continue with their offense. Still shooting the puck at Saros. He's making the stops. Barkov at the end of the shift gets a puck on the left wing boards. I think he was about ready to go to the bench before he got that puck. He walks right in on Saros. He tries a pass across, but it actually redirects off of Roman Josi's stick and past Saros to tie the game at 3. Not much time to celebrate that one, though, as the Preds, they strike before the period even ends. Ryan Ellis buries the puck top shelf after Duclair leaves him all alone to do whatever the hell he wants 20 feet in front of the net. This is, again, I feel like a broken record, and I'm only 13 minutes into this podcast or something. This is another defensive zone breakdown by this team. They just can't have sequences like this and become successful come playoff time. This needs to tighten up. You got to tighten it up. Third period starts much of the same for the Panthers. Lots of offense, but from the Preds, but this time rookie Spencer Knight is in net as Bob takes a seat on the bench for the remainder of the game. Cats got a lot of shots, lots of saves by Saros, but a little bit of a hard work pays off for them as the sort of newish second line with Huberdeau, Bennett, and Tippett gets the goal as Tippett gets his stick on the puck that bounces around a whole bunch with a ton of bodies in front. He gets a stick on it, pokes it home, ties the game with 5 minutes into the third. This goal had the Cats really smelling blood. They wanted this game, and you could see it in their play in the third period. Heppo Niemi makes a nice pass nice play in the corner to win the puck. Wenberg finds Vetrano, and he rips it past Saros for the 5-4 lead. Cats got a power play with 7 minutes left after continuing the offensive onslaught. Barkov and Huberdeau were working their magic as usual. Barkey finds Huberdeau on the left side, and he has a wide open net to beat Saros. Huge goal by the power play for some insurance to all but secure this win. It's a little under 2 minutes. Huberdeau finds himself all alone facing an empty net, and his 5th point of the night. He gets hauled down, so he's rewarded with the often rare automatic empty net goal. That doesn't make any sense. Often rare. Why would I say that? If you don't know the rule, if a player's on a breakaway and the defending goaltender has been pulled, if the player is obstructed in any way, an automatic goal is awarded due to the empty net. That goal made it 7-4 for the Panthers. They seal it. They could have won by even more, to be honest. They outshot the Preds 55-30 when all was said and done. Knight looked good in relief, making 9 saves, but pretty protected. Not tested much again, but solid when called upon. Main takeaways in this one: Owen Tippett had a really solid game. Lots of folks have been clamoring for him to be on the scoring lines to be effective. Well, I mean, tonight, that showed. Played with Huberdeau and Bennett, and he looked like he belonged. Like he belonged right there with them. He had some great changes and got a good, hard-working goal in front of the net. Goal and an assist on the night, so hopefully this is a sign of things to come for old Tips. Also, the team played an incredible offensive game, but after a poor showing the night before. I can't say the defense had a strong game because they collapsed and miscues again led to goals directly. Can't have that. But offensively, they showed up to play. 55 shots is always an impressive number, but this time they actually scored a bunch of goals to go along with it instead of just padding the goaltender's stats. Huberdeau getting a 5.9 against the Predators for the second time this season is a hell of an accomplishment. Everyone came to play. Only 3 Panthers did not have a shot on goal on this night. 12 players had 3 shots or more in this game. That's crazy. That's a crazy statistic. They wanted it tonight, and they just wore Nashville down over time. They did not get tired as the game progressed. They actually looked like they had more energy, and Preds just couldn't keep up with them. Like, props to the conditioning team for keeping these guys in shape to perform like this at the end of a back-to-back. Really well done. Next game for the Cats, Thursday night. Another 8 p.m. Eastern start for the Panthers, so us on the East Coast trying to get used to some later games. News we heard before this one was that rookie Spencer Knight was going to get his second career start for the Panthers against the Blackhawks with just 5 games left in the regular season. Not made changes other than that, but Noel Acciari coming back from injury. Nikita Gusev sitting down for this one. Pretty disappointing to see Gusev already sitting, but I can't say I blame Q. Goose hasn't really been showing much, especially 5-on-5. He's made a couple of plays, but also a couple of really glaring mistakes that Coach Q has a very short leash with. He does not like mistakes unless you're one of the top guys or you wear number 3. Panthers start the first really well. Got a couple of chances, but not much going. Kevin Lankin is in net for the Hawks, and if you remember last time he played the Cats, he actually shut them out with an incredible 41 save performance in a 3-0 victory. So scoring might not be so simple in this one. Hawks get a power play after Juho Lammikko interferes with former Panther Riley Stillman. Both he and Brett Connolly are in the lineup for Chicago in this game. Hawks get some chances on the power play, but Knight stands tall and makes a couple of great saves to keep the game scoreless. Nice little start from the 20-year-old. Both teams feeling each other out early in this one, trying to create some plays on their own, wary of making mistakes on the transition. This results in not a lot of shots and chances for the Panthers or the Blackhawks, and not much. Any chances the Panthers are getting this one, they're not hitting the net. 14 minutes to the first, the Hawks strike first. Gudas gets beaten to a puck in the defensive zone. Dylan Strome gets it and walks right in front. Puck gets to Adam Gaudette, and he scores his first as a Blackhawk after coming over from the Vancouver Canucks earlier this season. Yandel is caught confused and lost in front of the net again, swinging his stick aimlessly, hoping that it yields some sort of results and a defensive stop. I mean, what is he doing out there? It's another zone breakdown by most of the guys, to be honest. Acciari also in front of the net, not covering his man. Seems to have picked up right where he left off defensively on Tuesday. These teams... It's the same thing. It's the same thing we saw on Monday and Tuesday with this team. I don't get it. Uyghur gets a nice chance walking in from the point. He tries to go top shelf, but Lankinen gets lucky as his crossbar helps him out. Denies a goal from Weeks. Panthers look a little bit discombobulated after this goal. Not a lot of passes working. Lots of guys confused about their man in the defensive zone. You can see it out there. They just don't look. They don't look to be working as a cohesive unit in this one. But the Cats started the second shorthanded. They still managed to kill it off, and not long after, Barkov's line gets to work. They get into the zone 3-on-2. Barkey finds Denisenko, who makes a sweet little pass to Duclair, but Lankinen is all over it to make the great save. Panthers get a power play a few minutes later as a result of this good play, but just a whole bunch of passing as usual. None of that shooting mentality we saw against Nashville. Just too hesitant. Until Unit 2 gets out there. Unit 2. That's right, Unit 2. My favorite unit of the power play. Not Unit 1, Unit 2. With about 30 seconds left in the power play, Uyghur one times a pass from Huberdeau from the point. Wenberg standing in front of the net. He gets a stick on it, ties the game up. There you go. Shooting the puck. It seems to work on power plays. Crazy, right? Am I crazy? Have I lost my mind? Am I losing it? I don't think so. It's working. They got to keep doing that, right? Just a little while later, the Cats get in trouble, though, when Montour blows a tire in the Hawks zone. Chicago takes advantage on the counterattack. They get a 2-on-1. Nudie Vara lays down to block the pass, but Brandon Hagel puts some serious sauce on this one. He gets it across to another Panthers legend, Vinny Hinostroza. Vinny is having a great time with the Blackhawks. 10 points in 11 games since the trade from the Panthers, but he gets the goal. He gets the goal here. It was a tough play. Barkov did his best to get back and cover, but it was a little too late. But really the highlight on this play was the pass by Hagel. What a beauty. Mwah. I mean, you hate seeing it happen to the Panthers, but you gotta appreciate quality, right? Cats counter quickly, though. Denisenko breaks in the zone along the right wing boards. He floats a pass to Montour going to the net, who swats at it. Lankinen leaves a nice juicy strip loin of a rebound for the Duke, and Anthony Duclair buries it to tie the game. With an assist on the goal, Grigory Denisenko has his first career NHL point, so one to remember for him on this one. Nice little heads-up play for him, too. Cats give up another 2-on-1, but this time Spencer Knight makes his first highlight reel save of his career, sprawling up with the glove and robbing the Hawks of a 3-2 lead. Great stop by Knight on this one. A sign of things to come for this kid, I'm sure. Florida really turned it up in this period, finishing the stanza with 17 shots, so a nice real bounce back from them in the second, but still just a tied game. Third starts with much of the same energy from the Panthers. They're doing a great job of hemming the Hawks in their zone and using their defensemen to spread out the play for puck movement. On transition, they're even better in this one, creating chance after chance. Toronto hits a goal post. Bennett gets stopped on a rebound, but that doesn't deter them. Wenberg brings the puck in on another rush. He finds a trailer, and that trailer is Brandon Montour. With a nice look, Montour beats Lankinen 5-hole for the 3-2 lead. Really nice to see Montour bounce back and contribute offensively directly after blowing the tire and indirectly being responsible for the second Blackhawks goal. The Cats are doing a great job of holding the Hawks to limited chances. Not really a lot of mistakes, and the Hawks are one and done almost all third period. But all that good effort in that period can change in an instant, though. Coach Q decided to put the fourth line out there, reward them with a good effort on this night, and maybe see what the boys can do and what they're made of, holding a 1-goal lead with a minute left. It makes sense to do something like that ahead of the playoffs, right? You want to see what all guys have going forward. Gudas and Yandel were out there as well, which I don't know if that was the move. As Gudas fails to get the puck out of the zone, the puck works itself around to a wide-open Alex DeBrincat. He one times a Patty Kaner pass with just 18 seconds left in regulation. I mean, what can you say? It is what it is. Blackhawks absolutely dominated the first 3 minutes of overtime. They had a ton of chances. They missed the net on a few, and Knight came up with a couple of really big saves, including squaring up one-on-one with Patty Kane, but making the save. But Panthers finally, they get possession of the puck, and they hang on to it. Eventually, Sir Samuel of House Bennett adorns the ice with his presence. He takes a pass from Uyghur at his own blue line. He flies through the neutral zone 1-on-2. He unleashes an absolute laser laser and beats Lankinen top cheese glove side for the 4-3 Panthers victory. This is Sir Samuel Bennett's 11th point in 8 games with the Panthers. What a pickup he's been. Let's stay cool, though. Let's stay cool. But how? How am I supposed to stay cool about Sir Samuel of House Bennett? You just gotta, I guess. Main takeaways from this one. Spencer Knight was great all night. He had a really solid outing, though. None of the goals can be blamed on him. A lot of similar defensive breakdowns that we saw in Nashville on Tuesday and Monday. need to clean that up, but Knight was sharp, and I got to give one more shout-out to that one-on-one save against Patrick Kane. I'd be shitting bricks if I was him. So, well done. Well done, Knighty. The other point, their ability to pick themselves up after bad periods. They looked really out of sync and disinterested in the first period, but the rest of the run, they really stepped up offensively and got back to playing their game. They got the result they wanted because of that, and despite the lapses in their own zone. The offense carrying the load is definitely still a leftover trait from last season's team, I guess, right? I am Brunswick. This is Project Panthers. Thank you so much for tuning in. Last game of last week for the Cats came on Saturday. Their second game against the Blackhawks. Sergei Bobrovsky gets the call to man the cage after getting the day off on Thursday. Nikita Gusev also slots back into the lineup with Lamico taking the seat in this one. Juho's had a couple of tough games recently, so not a surprise that he's watching from the press box. He's had a pretty solid season as a Panthers fourth-line center, but I wonder if he's suffering from some fatigue in the way that Lou Ostarin is. Both guys are young and not used to the grind, and the condensed schedule this season only further exacerbates that situation. No lineup changes beyond those, so relatively same group for Q in this game. Cats got off to a good start with some quality chances. Early on, Lankinen is ready, and right off the bat, he makes a couple of really nice saves. Blackhawks come alive with about 5 minutes gone in the first period. They started generating some chances, but Bob also there and up to the task. 8 minutes into the first, Anthony Duclair comes out of the penalty box, uses his speed to get around the net, eventually works his way into the slot, and rips a shot blocker side on Lankinen. Duke's third straight game with a goal, 9th of the season, and 15th point in his last 13 games. Duke continues to get it done offensively after starting the season ice cold when it came to goal scoring. This goal was Duclair's 100% of the way. But Bennett once again gets another assist, and Forsling got a helper as well. Forsling matches his career high of 14 points that he hit in 2017-18 with the very same Chicago Blackhawks that they're playing in this one. The difference this season, though, is that Forsling has put all of those 13 points up in his last 29 games played. His strong play continues since Ekblad's injury. Cats continue the pressure after the goal, and they really turn it up. I tell you, though, these Blackhawks have a really nice piece here in this Kevin Lankinen kid. In every game he's played the Panthers this season, he's been really impressive and looks not like a rookie, but a seasoned vet who's had a few seasons as a starter already under his belt. Hawks get inspired by Lankinen's efforts, and they start turning it on themselves. Bob is there to make the save, though, and after a much more eventful first period than we saw on Thursday between these two squads, the stanza ends 1-0 after a flurry by the Hawks to close it out. Surprisingly, the most notable Panther in the first period was Nikita Gusev back in the lineup after sitting on Thursday. That effort actually gets rewarded in the second when Goose hangs back a bit after the Hawks failed to clear the zone. He gets a clear path in on Lankinen, backhands a nice little 5-hole past the goaltend, past the keeper, and pads the Cats' lead for a 2-0 advantage. This is some great awareness by Goose and a beautiful little move and tight first as a Panther. The third line in this one, though, they were absolutely flying. And this period, every time they took the ice, they were noticeable. Heponiemi adds a really nice element of speed opposite Vetrano's speed on the other wing. And this kind of makes up for Wenberg not being the fleetest of foot and allows him to be the late man, play that responsive defensive role that he's used to, and let the two wingers sort of battle it out and do the damage on the wings and on the sides and down low. This plays into Wenberg's game style and is a strength for them for sure. I really like what I've seen from this line and the fourth line in this game, to be honest. I thought Lomberg was having one of his best games as a Panther, and Acharya looks much improved from his return from injury. With a little under 5 minutes left in the second, though, Hawks win a face-off in the power play. Defenseman Connor Murphy winds up for a big slapper and beats Bob clean with no deflection in front. Gaudette was screening Bob, but it seemed like he had enough of a good look at this to make a save. I think he could have made this. But regardless, 2-1 game, and suddenly the Hawks have some life. It is what it is, right? Story of the podcast nowadays with these goals. They keep the momentum going, though, on a mistake by the Cats' top line. I think the Panthers thought the play was offside, so everyone went to the bench for a change. And instead, Adam Gaudette just charged up the ice. He feeds the Brinkat, who is untouched in front of the net, and he beats Bob. Hawks managed to come back with 2 goals in less than a minute to tie it up. Remember that. That's okay, though, because, oh, captain, my captain, Alex Barkov steps up big for the Cats with just 6 seconds left in the second period. A quick transition from the Panthers in the neutral zone. Forsling gets into the zone, draws 2 defenders on himself, and that leaves Barkov wide open to take the pass. Buried at top shelf by a sprawling Lankinen. Barkov's 25th of the season. He hits that mark for the 4th time in his career. New career high for Forsling in points, as well as his 2nd assist of the night. 10 points in 5 games against the Hawks for Barkov this season. Just 28 seconds into the third, though, the first line picks up right where they left off at the end of the second. Denisenko makes a heads-up play in the neutral zone to intercept the Blackhawks, clearing the temp. He quickly moves it to Barkov, who finds Duke with a ton of space on the right side of the ice. He makes a nifty little move around Lankinen, beats him short side with a deke for his 2nd of the game and 10th of the season, restores the 2-goal lead for the Cats. They still don't stop. This time the second line gets in on the action as Bennett steals a clearing attempt behind the Blackhawks net, feeds a wide-open Owen Tippett. They made it look so damn easy on this one. Tippett buries it for his 7th of the year. Bennett getting another assist on this one. 13 points in 9 games for Sam Bennett now. Tippett really flourishing on the second line. Playing really well with Samuel of House Bennett and Huberdeau. He fits right in. He's looked as good as he has all season these past 2 games. He really does. Panthers kept it coming. They looked hungry for goals in this one, but they couldn't quite pad the lead any further, thanks to Lankinen and some missed shots. Hawks get a goal with 7 minutes to go. Kirby Dach gets his 2nd of the season on the power play, and the Hawks are within 2. Once again, another 3 goals against for Bob. I can't say I'm happy with how he seemed to regress a bit in the latter part of the season. Really felt like he was turning it around there for a little bit, but this team needs him to be in top-tip shape and top-tip form come playoff time if they want to be successful. The Hawks kept pressing, and they tried their best to make a game of it. And honestly, they kind of did with 18 seconds left. Dominik Kubalik puts home his 17th of the season past Bobrovsky with his team's net empty to give Chicago a fighting chance with only a few seconds left. But thankfully, it was only 18 seconds, as I don't think the Cats would have survived much longer. Ryan Lomberg took a very late slashing penalty. The Hawks had a 6-on-4 for the last 7 seconds of the game. Thankfully, the play fell into the corner, and the Hawks never really managed much of a chance. Cats hang on to the victory by the skin of their teeth. Main takeaways in this one: Alex Wenberg in the third line. They deserve a lot of the credit for this game, despite not showing up anywhere on the score sheet. When he played more minutes than any Panthers forward in this one, and he's been consistently in the top 3 for Panthers forwards a nice time over the last month and change. The third line with Vetrano and Heponiemi, they did a great job of creating chances and building momentum for the team in the first and second period. It's a shame they didn't get rewarded with a goal, but they've been dynamite lately. And given the Cats 3 formidable lines, I mean, Coach Q is working magic with this roster right now. And another win that probably should have been more decisive than it was. It's another batch of defensive zone breakdowns and what seems to be miscommunications amongst the team. Offensively, they continue to click and run like a well-oiled machine. But as I've said before, this defensive play is concerning. They need to tighten up all these facets of their game. They need to. They only have a couple of games to do it. It's looking more and more obvious that the Cats will be facing the Bolts in the first round, and the defending Stanley Cup champions will go for the jugular from the start if you give them that, if you put your neck out towards them. These are some glaring weaknesses that they will expose. I hope Coach Q and defensive coach Ulf Samuelsson are on top of this as their main focus for the remainder of the season, because this has got to change. This won't work in the playoffs. Not a lot of time to work out these kinks at this stage. Cats returned home for a quick game against Dallas on Monday, almost a week ahead of their last 2 games of the season, facing the Lightning to close it out. I did miss the first 2 periods of this game due to a social obligation, but not too much change in this lineup from Saturday night's win. Sam Bennett was unfortunately out with a minor injury. Mason Marchment slotted in, coming back from injury himself. Still not much info on Carter Verhaeghe on Cardi V ahead of this one, but it does seem that Coach Q is hopeful he can play Saturday against Tampa. Journeyman, a little feel-good story here. Journeyman goaltender Philippe Desrosiers was dressed and on the bench backing up rookie Spencer Knight for the first time in his NHL career. So a lot of feel-good stuff on the Panthers' social media before this one. Check it out if you're feeling a bit down. It'll pick you right back up. Nice little moments for Felipe and the team. But seems like I missed a lot in the first two periods as I joined coverage at the end of the second. Panthers had a commanding 4-2 lead. Of note on the score sheet from the first two stanzas, Grigory Denisenko notched his third and fourth assists of his career. Still looking for that first NHL goal, but I guess you could say he's enjoying his time on Barkov's wing. I know I would be. He made a great setup pass to Forsling for the fourth goal. Really nice little pass. Good vision. Gusev got his second goal in as many games, and the Cats had a 2-goal lead less than 3 minutes in. Tippin chipped in with a couple of assists as well, but Dallas did what they had to stay in it. And stay in it they did. I think I brought some bad luck with me in this one because 4 minutes and 6 seconds into the third period, the game was suddenly tied. First goal was scored by Joel Kiviranta. Another example that has been a common theme this week of the opposition using their speed through the neutral zone to exploit the Panthers' defense. And they get caught puck watching and not moving their feet. I've stressed defending the speed all season long, and this goal was a textbook example of why they're struggling against this type of game plan. Then they tied it up with Tyler Seguin. He playing his first game of the season after being out for most of the year after surgery. He got behind the Panthers defense just 11 seconds after the third Stars goal, grabbed the puck in front off a rebound, and he has all the time in the world to put it past Knight. Neither Uyghur nor Forsling were anywhere near him on this play. And again, another goal displaying what is wrong with the Panthers right now. I know. It's not like the Panthers have won 3 games straight before this one or anything, right? It's not like they've clinched the playoff spot and are fighting for a second in the division or anything like that, right? I know. I'm trying not to be so doom and gloom, but these aren't the best teams. I mean, Dallas and Chicago and Nashville, they've been fighting out for that 4th playoff spot all season long. They're not the upper echelon teams of Tampa and Carolina that they're going to face in the first round. So it's concerning. The rest of the game went without much event as we made our way into overtime again. Cats were flying in the extra period, though. They had all the best chances, but they failed to capitalize. Duclair had a clear path to net from his own blue line, but was robbed by Ettinger, who took over for Khudobin after the first period, actually, because Khudobin struggled in the first. All these chances did lead to a power play for the Cats, and wouldn't you know it, El Capitano gets it done again with the overtime winner. This time he blasted a shot over Ettinger's shoulder. I don't even think Ettinger saw this one. Barkey's 26th goal of the season, 18th goal in 23 games, and the Panthers collect their 35th win of the season. Damn, that Barkey is so damn hot right now. Main takeaways in this one, just one, I think, makes me think of the classic song from Orange County's own The Offspring, and the kids are all right. Heponiemi and Denisenko are proving that they can come into this lineup and not only fill a role, but excel while doing it. Denisenko particularly looks much better on this stint in the NHL than he did previously, and Heponiemi always seems to be involved in play, and he plays like he's about 60 pounds heavier than he actually is. Does not shy away from physical play, and he's proven he can score at any level he's played in. These two will be welcome additions to the everyday lineup next year. That's it for the game, so now time for the world-famous segment of Project Panthers. That's right, 2 points. In the NHL, if you want to make the playoffs and fight for Lord Stanley's Cup, you got to get the 2 points every night. So here are 2 points from this week in Panthers territory. Point number 1. Oh, wait, the crowd. Is that the crowd? The crowd is going crazy. Thanks, crowd. Anyway, point number 1. Owen Tippett. Tips is really starting to shine with Huberdeau and Bennett, and even without Bennett in the game against Dallas. I mean, I don't know how much more I can praise Sir Samuel anymore, and Hubie is Hubie, but Tippett fits on that scoreline so well. He's finally getting some good looks and doesn't have to create all the offense by himself. He needs to play with playmakers, and both guys know how to make a pass better than anyone on the team not named Alexander Barkov. I was starting to get ready to write him off this season, thinking he was going to be able to contribute. He wasn't going to be able to contribute much more this team down the stretch and in the playoffs, and really just hoping for him to work hard in the summer and come out stronger next season. But I mean, he's borderline turned it around this year with these last few games. Not to say he was playing so poorly, but he looked a little lost at times. Again, this is a very small sample size. I do not want to jump to any conclusions, but the outlook does seem promising at this stage. I love the way his game looks, and he's getting more and more confident with every shift on the second line. 5 points in his last 4 games played. So all crow on thinking he might have been done this year, because all of a sudden he looks confident in his abilities and has more of a nose to the net. And point number 2 is this team's offense. As of the time of this recording, the Panthers sit first overall in goals for the entire NHL. I mean, this likely won't hold as other teams have games in hand and on them, and it's just the way it's going to go. But this is quite a feat, all things considered. Think about how much the roster has turned over with this team. Think about how much roster turnover they've actually experienced, not just from last season, but from throughout the actual season itself, with injuries and new players coming in at a deadline and before that. Gone are the days of hoping and praying that Ivan Novoselicev finally figures it out offensively, or that Rostislav Olish develops some sort of offensive touch. He had a little bit something in the first season, but nothing after that. You know what? I knew it was a bad sign for Olish when he scored his first career goal on an empty netter. That's enough about Olish. Anyways, not only are the guys we are bringing in as free agents contributing, but with guys like Duke and Verhaeghe, but now we have a young crop of players that are making their way into the lineup and onto the main roster over the next year. And they're starting to make real impacts. I already talked about Tippett, but again, Denisenko, Heponiemi, they've been all great down the stretch. They don't look out of place at all at the NHL level. And on the cherry on top is Spencer Knight, who continues to excel as he calms down and sort of finds his game at this level. He's now the youngest NHL goalie in league history to win all 4 of his first starts. The future is bright for an already illuminated team. And now, folks, it's letter time. It's letter time. Remember, friends, you can send your questions via email to projectpantherspod@gmail.com. That's projectpantherspod@gmail.com. You can also send your questions into us via Twitter or Instagram by searching Project Panthers in your search bar. This week's question comes from Joey out in the Peg. For all my American listeners, that's Canadian speak for Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Joey asks, based on what you've seen from Florida this season, how deep of a run do you feel is realistic? Or will you consider a success? And what's your biggest concern with this roster as we approach the postseason? Joey, first of all, thanks for the question and for tuning into the show. I love each and every one of you for joining me every single week. And honestly, a little bit of a hint to you listeners, but I suggest everyone tune in next week, especially, and let's pay special close attention, as I'll likely have some details about a potential Project Panthers giveaway in the works. In regards to your question, Joey, I think success comes with the playoff series victory. This fan base has not seen one since 1996. 1996. That was back when they beat the Penguins in the Eastern Conference Finals before being stomped by Colorado in the Stanley Cup Finals. I think fans are being realistic about expectations. This year is a little different, and with the Panthers' luck, the first year they are dominant, of course. The first year they're really good. They happen to share a division with the 2 other potentially best teams in the league, of course. If the Panthers lose to the Lightning in the first round, will I be disappointed? Sure. They've had a great season, and they've done enough to get by at least the first round of the postseason. But Tampa is a good team, a great team, an amazing team, the defending Stanley Cup champions, in fact. I think if the franchise was in more of dire straits, then a playoff series win would be a must. But I think Bill Zito has come in as general manager, turned this team around and his culture all in one season. Truly something for the history books, if you ask me. At the beginning of the season, I would say a playoff series win was a must. But this is a different team now with a different outlook on the future. No longer will I feel hopeless when they eventually lose that last game of the season. But, buddy, if they make it past Tampa and Carolina, I think they're going straight to the Cup Finals and winning the whole damn thing, baby. All right. I need to calm down. As far as weaknesses go, I mean, if you've been listening to the first 40-odd minutes of this podcast, I think you know where this is going. It's defense. Defense is the one thing I'm concerned the most about. It's becoming more and more glaring as the season wears on. Actually, since the 3-0 or 3-0 shutout win against Columbus on April 4th, the Panthers have held the opposition to 2 goals or less only 3 times. 2 of those were against Columbus and their anemic offense, so those barely count. It's 7 straight games for the Panthers of giving up 3 goals or more. This defense is no longer being bailed out by great goaltending. But before you blame the goaltending, realize how exploited this team's defense is getting. There are factors that come into play. All season long, I've talked about the problems our defensemen have when the opposition comes with speed through the neutral zone. Not surprising considering Ulf is the defensive coach. He struggled with that in his career. regardless, teams are picking up on this now, and the coaching staff needs to tell the defensemen to play back a bit more when it comes to the playoffs. The run and gun style won't work in tighter games against good teams. It just won't. And secondly, too many guys get behind the defense in their own zone and stand in front of the net. I mean, the last 2 Dallas goals in the game on Monday are prime examples of it. Go back and watch them. Guys are left alone to stand in front of the net, along with the puck for a glorious opportunity, basically unscathed. The D-men need to collapse more to protect the net, and whether or not this is too much of a drastic change for them at this stage of the season, time will tell. But teams are noticing this, and they're exploiting it by sending a man in front of the net late and when positioning has already been established. This is a strategy that teams are using against the Panthers. It's obvious. Our guys need to keep their heads on swivels with guys like Braden Point on the ice for Tampa. It's not going to be easy when that series comes along. These need to be addressed and fixed ASAP, or the Lightning are going to be taking these guys down in 5 games. So yeah, I would say that's the biggest concern for me going into the playoffs. Definitely. But that's going to do it for me today, folks. Last 2 games of the year for the Panthers will be up against their cross-state rivals, the Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm not expecting much from these games. Cats will likely rest some guys, so will the Bolts. Tampa also has been talking about how Stamkos and Kucherov are both looking better as the days go by. I'm healthier and healthier. Just complete and utter bullshit from that franchise. Very obviously, Stamkos getting shut down before they acquired David Savard from Columbus at the deadline, and Kucherov coincidentally being hurt for the entire season, only to come back just in time for Game 1 of the playoffs. Their cap hit is almost $100 million with these two in the lineup. This is a complete farce for the league to be allowing this to happen and not getting ahead of this problem. It's pretty embarrassing, but it is what it is at this point. You can't really do anything about it. But this is it. We're winding down the last 2 games of the season, friends. What a hell of a year it's been. But I'll have a show up next week reviewing those 2 games. I'm debating on doing a playoff preview show in that episode or doing a separate standalone playoff preview show. If you have any feedback on how you'd like next week's show to go, please let us know. But I'll figure it out as the week goes on. Thanks again for listening. Remember to give us a follow on Twitter at Project Panthers, Instagram by searching Project Panthers Pod, and on Facebook by searching Project Panthers. We're on all the major podcast platforms. Thank you once again for tuning in this week. I am Brunswick. Have a week.